You're listening to Nostalgia Club, the podcast where we look back on our favorite childhood stories and revisit them as adults. At least one of us hasn't read or watched these series, so we also get a first-timer's opinion. Spoiler alert, we will be discussing storylines and future events beyond the first books and episodes, so proceed with caution.
Welcome back to Nostalgia Club. I'm Victoria, and as usual, I am joined by...
Michael.
Gino.
And today we are going to be totally spies.
Sorry, I don't know why I was so robotic with that.
Were you trying to be Gladys?
No.
Gladys,
but perhaps I should be.
Yeah.
The gadget I can't think of words.
The big robot in the ceiling that's very unhelpful.
She is the Gadget Lending and Distribution Interactive System.
Distribution, that's the word.
Was Gladys named after or before GLaDOS?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question.
It's Totally Spies! That's what we're doing. We're doing Totally Spies. Did we say that? I don't know if we said that.
I tried to make a joke about how we are the Totally Spies today.
Yes.
We are.
But yes, we are talking about Totally Spies. I'm very excited. I loved this show as a kid. But neither Michael or Gino have seen it before.
Because we're boys. And we watch cool things like...
No, I watched Totally Spies, at least enough. I don't know if I watched it as much as Victoria.
Oh, right. Okay. I couldn't remember if you had watched it before or not, but it's very wacky. It's very goofy. It's set basically during the 90s. It's like 90s, early 2000s.
I think it's literally taking place at the time that the show was made, which is early 2000s.
Yeah.
And boy, does it have an early 2000s look to it. The colors are like, would matte be the word?
Yeah. I think so.
Like super colorful, extremely matte. And for example, if these spies who are like high school girls are like taking a submarine somewhere, it looks like an advertisement for like a toy on Cartoon Network because this thing is like got way too many apparatuses on it and it's like super pink and purple and blue and like the viewport is the shape of a giant heart.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I recognize some iteration of that from many toy catalogs growing
for sure.
up. Yeah.
It's my favorite anime after Last Airbender.
I was going to say, this show being like anime-influenced Western animation walked so that Avatar could run.
It legitimately jump scared me when I booted up the first episode that Victoria recommended, and I was like, oh, anime! Adjacent, at least, anyway.
It's very stilted in a lot of cases.
Going back to season 1, I was like, oh, the animation was not good in season 1. It gets better in later seasons. For background, once I did more research about Totally Spies, I think I mostly watched around season 3 and 4. At that time, already all of the episodes were on YouTube. So sometimes I would pretend to go to sleep, but I would actually be watching Totally Spies under my bed covers. Sorry, Mom and Dad, if you're listening to this.
Oh, classic.
I would watch episode after episode after episode of Totally Spies when I was supposed to be sleeping.
That's incredible. You have the comprehensive knowledge then.
Yeah, well...
You've retained all of it since you were young.
Since then, there's been up to 6 seasons. There's actually a 7th season that they're putting out soon. But unfortunately, they're not bringing back the original voice cast.
Eviscerating.
Yeah. But in later seasons, they go to college. They start off as Beverly Hills High School students, sorry. And then they go to college. They go to Malibu University. I had Michael and Gino watch 3 episodes because there's too many episodes. We can't cover all of them. There's not really an overarching plot in Totally Spies. There are some recurring villains who come back, but like I couldn't have you watch so many episodes just for like this one villain who shows up later on. Jerry has an evil twin brother, like stuff like that. But we watched Spies versus Spies, Brain Drain, and then we watched Future Shock. And I specifically chose these episodes because I remember them the most. Future Shock is actually the episode that kind of got me into Totally Spies because I actually didn't get into Totally Spies because of the show at first. I discovered Totally Spies when I went to the Denver Public Library one summer. It's like a bigger, nicer library than the one that I grew up going to. So they had a wider collection of books. And I found a graphic novel that was basically the plot of Future Shock, the Totally Spies episode, but in graphic novel form. So I read it and I was like, this is really fun and really interesting. And then I realized there was an entire show for it. So that was great.
How
for me.
convenient.
Yeah.
Like Matilda, except not just books.
Yeah.
Not just Dickens and Dostoevsky
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yes, totally Spies and Charles Dickens right up there with each other. But before we get into the general plot is not really the word that I would use for the show. But before we talk about the episodes themselves, Jino, Michael, what were your vibes watching this show?
Gino?
What are my thoughts?
Did you watch these all last night?
I did watch them all last night.
Okay, same. It was like 1 a.m. and I was like, oh my gosh.
I
Which
do
is
kind of wish
the
I
perfect
watched
way
more.
to recreate the Victoria experience of watching. No, I'm kidding.
That's true. I didn't watch a lot of TV like this growing up. I didn't watch a lot of TV at all. And that may sound like a lie if you've listened to this show a lot. But growing up, my family didn't have cable, mostly because we just didn't find the value in it. So I watched a lot of like nature documentaries and stuff.
Superior content, to be sure.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases.
I only ever really watched animated children's television in two places. My grandparents' house on rare occasions over the weekend, or while waiting for my piano lessons in my piano teacher's waiting room. This show, to me, feels like the intersection between a more story character-driven show that may be more popular now and the more crazy, random, loud, let's just throw noise at the kids and see what sticks of the 90s. This feels like a perfect, very pleasant intersection between those two extremes. The plots are there, and the villains' plans are really interesting if you think about it, but also like, whoa.
The villains' plans were also developed by the writers at 1 a.m.
Yes. I enjoyed the show. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I was just baffled. It was constantly baffling me.
I don't think your experience is a lonely one, my friend. I don't think you have to, if you seem struggling, like you're really struggling to make sense of it, I'm pretty sure that is the universal experience with Totally
Yes.
Spies.
Here's the thing. I think if I watched this as a kid, I would have loved it because I loved action and I loved spies and I loved gadgets. And I love the concept of high school because I not yet experienced it. Watching it now in a complete void with no sort of primer to what this show was a trip.
I purposely also tried to give you guys like zero context. I thought about it. I was like, maybe I should give like a preface of like, here are these characters. Because also, there's no episode that tells you why they're spies. They just are.
Yeah.
You have to wait until the end of the 6th season and then the movie, which
There's
is
a
the
movie.
origin story.
There's a movie that's the origin story, which I did watch the movie, and it's bananas. It's just insane. Like, I am a huge fan of Totally Spies, and even the movie was a little too much for me, okay? That's what I'll say. But yeah, I tried to like give zero context. I just threw you guys into the flames and was like, have
Yeah.
fun.
It worked.
The speed of the show is, I think, what really gets me. The plot moves at an alarming pace. They jump from scene to scene with little to no transition besides the big, like, Totally Spy sticker that gets slapped on, and they're just in somewhere else doing something else.
Well, tell us, okay, because we didn't want to go into the plot summary of all 3 of these episodes, but I think go into, just tell us the plot, and you can go beat by beat if you want,
Yeah.
of, I would say, Spies versus Spies, specifically.
Okay. First, I'll give the general premise of the story. So you've got 3 high school girls. There's Sam, Alex, and Clover. Sam is kind of the smart girl character. She loves studying. A lot of her story arcs in these episodes revolve around her loving to study or like going on competition shows.
Being a nerd.
Yeah. Alex is the sporty girl. She loves sports. She's like involved in taekwondo, and her whole thing is just, I love sports and I'm on the soccer team. I actually don't know if she's on an actual team, but she just does sports in general.
She loves the concept of sports, but organized sports, no.
Yeah. She's too busy being a spy. And then Clover's whole thing is she loves fashion, she loves shopping, and she loves boys. I mean, they all love boys, but Clover in particular dates more than the other girls do. I don't know.
No,
if
that's
completely
what
true. Yeah.
makes sense.
She's more quote unquote like boy crazy than Alex and Sam are, but they definitely have their moments as well.
I love the fact that there's a villain of the week, but also a boy of the week.
Yes.
They're introduced in tandem almost,
No,
which is
it's
very funny
incredible.
to me.
It's the Bond formula, but reverse Uno.
And much
card.
faster.
Yes.
Yeah, so the general structure of every episode is it usually starts with the girls at school, or sometimes there's a cold open that introduces kind of the general villain's plan or problem of the episode. But a lot of times the episodes start with the girls at school. They're talking about school-related problems. There's a mean girl at school named Mandy who has her mean girl posse of like people who like
People who are mean.
People who are mean, specifically to Sam, Alex, and Clover, of course, because they're the protagonists. There's teacher trouble. There's dances coming up. Who are they going to ask to the dance? It's a very important question. So they have all of their usual high school drama issues.
Then there's a boy.
There's always a boy who one of the girls wants to ask out or...
Who has very 2000s hair.
Yes.
Do they ever succeed in asking out the boy? Because from the 3 episodes we watched, which is admittedly a very tiny sample of the 6 seasons and a movie, oh my God, they got 6 seasons as a movie.
They did it.
They never get the boy.
Well, they kind of, well...
I don't remember for sure if they do or do not get the boys. I don't think from my memory that there's ever a reoccurring boyfriend character. There's never, oh, in this season, Sam has a boyfriend that continues on throughout the rest of the season. I'm pretty sure it's just every episode there's a new boy. Which is great.
I'm here for it.
So there's 100, if we're following the formula, there's 156 random boys that show
Actually,
up once.
Sometimes there's more because in some episodes there's multiple love interests for each girl.
So there's at least 156
big is
random
this?
boys that just show up. Hi, boy, flip the hair, and then they vanish into the ether, sucked back into the darkness from whence they came.
The rate of developing and then annihilating these crushes of theirs
Yeah.
is just, they're just mowing through all the options in their high school class.
I think there might be some recurring crushes.
Okay.
So recurring boys at their high school.
I mean,
who-
why limit yourself?
Yeah, that's true.
The boy character designer fully employed for those 6 seasons, has a job
Yeah.
every week.
Oh, I can
New
only
boy.
imagine. I'm just imagining a giant poster board filled with different boy models, and they're all basically the exact same thing, but like swapped out with different basic pants and basic shirts.
Well, one thing that Totally Spies is particularly known for is the girls legitimately wear different outfits in every episode.
That was
That's
extremely
crazy.
Yeah.
impressive.
They change outfits within episodes. They have different clothes because the whole thing is they live in Beverly Hills. They're really rich. So they're going shopping all of the time. So it would be unrealistic for them to only wear the same outfit in every episode.
Fast fashion icons.
Yeah.
The clothes go on, the clothes go off into the incinerator.
Yeah.
Time to go shopping.
You could tell there's real thought put into these because every single one of their outfits, I'm like, that feels very 2000s to me. And
Like,
it all
they're
feels
cute
very different.
outfits.
Yeah.
They're not just like, we got to give them something else to wear. Like, they're all legitimately well thought out
Yeah.
outfits.
They're like not random top bottom shoe.
Yeah.
It feels very contemporary for the time. And you know what's weird? The 2000s are kind of coming back a little.
Yeah,
So
that's what
like
I was
as
gonna
I'm
say.
looking at their outfits,
I was like, oh, some of these are
like I've seen
legitimately...
people wearing these
Yeah.
just like around now
Yeah,
in
yeah.
And let's
2023.
be honest, some of them should stay in the 2000s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, fashion is
Cyclical.
Yes.
everything is
Strong fashion mix.
strong fashion makes good times. Good times makes weak fashion. Weak fashion makes bad times. Bad times makes
Strong fashion? Well, there is some evidence pointing to recessions and depressions and the length of high heels. So maybe there's something
That's
there.
true.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
look at this. Didn't expect the hard-hitting, overused, tired historical framework device in Totally Spies episode,
Yeah.
did you?
So they're at school, they're having their school problems. And then suddenly the floor will open up or they'll get sucked into a drinking fountain or a locker will open and they get sucked into that and they get plopped into WOOHP headquarters
WOOHP
because they're
spelled
spies.
WOOHP.
OOHP.
Yeah.
It stands for...
The World Organization of Human Protection.
Yes. It's not explained ever why there are so many portals to WOOHP headquarters. It just happens. You just have to accept it, okay?
The implications of that are terrifying.
They comment multiple times that it's creepy that Jerry, who's the leader of WOOHP,
I
is
don't
always
want to derail
watching
us, but legitimately a jaw-dropping moment. I sat there at the kitchen counter with my mouth hanging open when Jerry, at the end of one of the episodes, was just like, I heard that. And then they all laughed. I was like, whoa. Because he just said in the episode I listened to previously that he's not always listening in. He just sometimes accidentally catches them right before he gets them. And then immediately the next episode, he redacts that statement by saying, yes, I'm always listening and I can talk to you at any time.
Yeah.
Jerry! No! Breach of privacy? Something's wrong with Jerry.
Yeah, so Jerry is the founder and president of WOOHP. He's British?
He's okay. So if any are the both of you, are you familiar with Charlie's Angels?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for anyone who doesn't know, blah, 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 Charlie's Angels was an older property that fully predates Totally Spies, where the basic formula, I think it was a TV show originally, was you had 3 spies, all women, and they would report to their handler named Charlie, and you would never see him. He would just talk to him on some kind of squawk box.
Yeah.
And they would go off and do some secret agent stuff. Funny enough, the first season, I learned this reading the Wikipedia page, which means it's completely accurate. The first season of Totally Spies was like received with moderate interest, but like right around that time, the like rebooted Charlie's Angels movie came out.
Oh.
And then immediately the market was filled with like, put the women in the spy suits and make them do spy things.
We 3 of them and an old man. 3 of them and an old man. Quick.
Totally Spies made me so obsessed with being a spy because they have these gadgets that are basically
really cool
everyday
gadgets.
objects disguised. So like
Gadgets.
I think they're really cool.
Like they have a lipstick laser. When I was in middle school, every year at the Scholastic Book Fair, they would sell these spy packets. I had a MP3 player that was a listening device. So if you put your headphones in, you could pretend that you're listening to music, but you're actually like listening to someone's conversation.
Did you have to like
Whoa.
point it at something?
You just kind of had to like vaguely like, I don't remember how it works specifically, but it just like, it had a microphone like attached to it so that you could, it probably didn't have great range, you know?
Probably not,
Yeah.
but
Oh, maybe there was like a receiver, like a transmitter and a receiver. I don't remember. The point is, all of these things were exactly what the gadgets are in Totally Spies. They're disguised everyday objects, but they're actually things you can use for spying, which is very fun.
that feels like a whole market. I feel
Yeah.
like I saw things like that on the
I
commercials.
was obsessed.
Well, it's really cool. At
Yeah.
least the fantasy of it.
Yeah.
It's like I can put this old thing down and then like, oh, it looks like I'm listening to Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Back to overall plot summary.
I mean,
Yeah. They get pulled into WOOHP headquarters. Jerry will say, "Hello, girls. I've got a problem for you." It's not good.
you have to keep going though.
Yeah. Sometimes he'll say something really funny, which is relevant to whatever format they were pulled into WOOHP for, which I tried to find an episode where he says it, but he doesn't do it in any of the episodes we talked about. But for example, let's say they get pulled in through a fan. He'll say, "Hello, girls. Nice of you to breeze on in."
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And you're just like, dang it, Jerry. In every episode, he'll say, there's a problem. For example, in the first episode we watched, Spies versus Spies, the problem is that there's some power plants that are getting taken down across the globe.
Taken down is a very euphemistic
They're getting
way.
blown up.
They're getting blown up violently.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk about this episode.
And so he'll say, there's been a strange occurrence of global power plants being blown up or whatever. And then he'll say, you girls should go and check it out. He'll give them a variety of gadgets. Some of them are very iconic because they come back in other episodes. So the jetpack boots that they have come back a lot. The belt thing that they use to like grapple and whatnot, that also comes back pretty frequently. And the lipstick laser.
Lipstick
Also
laser.
very
Lipstick
iconic.
laser.
There's a whole meme for the lipstick
yeah.
laser.
So he'll send them off. They will face villains or nefarious plots. Usually it's like technological based. So in some episodes, it's like the villain created this thing that brainwashes people and we have to dismantle the thing and also expose the villain. The villain usually by the end gets arrested by WOOHP, and then the girls go back to their normal daily high school lives and they're like, oh no, we missed our exam, or
I missed my date with that
I
boy.
missed my date with this boy, yeah. So that's the general overarching structure of the show. Now we can get into the specific episodes we watch. So first we've got Spies versus Spies. Maybe we can talk about each episode by itself. Or do you want to talk about all three of them all at once?
Well, I mean, we'll probably reference all three of them.
That's true.
The reason I brought up the first one was because the first one seemed to me like, I mean, this is true for all three of these.
Mm-hmm.
The pace is lightning fast.
And they cram a lot of plot into these episodes.
Yeah.
And you combine that with the aesthetics of like 2000s toy magazine that's like laser focused, aimed at like femininity as defined by the age. And you like turn that into like quasi-adapted anime extremeness in its presentation. And you like put all that in like a 24-minute like format. It's an assault on the senses. These three episodes that we watched, any one of these plots could have been a fully like drawn out, pitch decked 2-hour Disney Channel original movie. Just these three episodes alone. And yet they squeeze it all into 24 minutes. They feel rushed in some ways, but at the same time, they feel extremely refined.
Yeah. I'll just go into it and then we'll see where it leads us. But in Spies versus Spies, like I said before, Jerry tells them that there's some power plants around the globe that are getting blown up. And so Sam, Clover, and Alex are sent to investigate. First, they go and they dive with submarines, and they're investigating underwater. And then they realize this location is about to get blown up. There are active missiles. So they try to...
It's an oil pipeline. Will this episode perhaps try to be topical? We'll find out. In a very weird way.
It skirts the edges of topicalness.
But it's mostly ridiculous.
Yeah. You can't really like attach a meaning to it. It's like a spider drone, right? Underwater.
Yeah, they're all like these spider drones that go and they latch onto the oil pipeline and then it blows it up. So the spies are like, oh no, we got to stop it. And then suddenly 3 other women show up. And the 3 protagonist spies get saved by them. And then they're like, who saved us? Like, thank you so much. It turns out it's 3 former WOOHP spies who kind of went like missing in action several years ago. 7 years ago.
Definitely presumed dead.
Yeah.
7 years is a long time.
It's implied that they were basically the trio of spies before Sam, Clover, and Alex started working. So there's a little bit of a rivalry, of course, because the older WOOHP spies are like, well, we're back now. You girls can go back to your silly little high school lives. But there's something fishy about them. Also, their names are Pam, Alex, and Crimson.
Wait, one of them is named Alex?
No, Pam, Alice, and Crimson.
Okay.
Pam is obviously Sam, the equivalent, and then Alice and Alex are very similar, and then Crimson and Clover. So the 3 spies save them. They go back to WOOHP. Jerry is very excited. He's very happy to see these 3 women again. The next power plant that gets targeted, they go together. But something goes wrong.
Their efforts are like sort of vaguely sabotaged by the older spies.
Yeah.
And they get launched off a cliff into a waterfall, and then like it sharp cuts to nighttime. And they're like, can't find them. Guess they're dead.
Yeah, Jerry's like, oh no, I suppose they also perished.
Jerry's a friggin'
Jerry's way too casual about the potential deaths of 3 children.
Yeah.
He's like, I guess time to write the obituary. I had the great pleasure of knowing. I'm like, Jerry, no.
I wasn't sure if this was the best episode to introduce you guys to Jerry, but I was like, whatever, I like this episode. Anyway, so the 3 spies, they're fine, but they're like, we definitely got sabotaged by the older spies. We gotta go and warn Jerry. They tell Jerry that they're alive, but Jerry's like, oh, well, it's okay. You guys can retire because the older spies got it now and they're much more competent than you.
He sends them to a seminar to help them assimilate back into civilian life.
Which opens up, like,
It's a seminar for presumably more than just the 3 of them. How many spies are frequently assimilating back into civilian life?
My question is like, because Sam is like, oh, wink, wink. Yeah, we'll definitely go to that. Can we borrow one of the private jets?
Yeah.
And Jerry's like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. But like the idea that they have to fly to somewhere to do it is like, what is it about this specific seminar? And it's because it seems like there's only 3 spies as a part of WOOHP.
Okay, again, You just have to not ask questions.
Well, because the big thing is like the dream, the fantasy is like I get to be in high school and I get to buy all these cute clothes and wear them and I get to date a bunch of cute boys and be in Beverly Hills, California, and I get to be a spy. And there's no trauma or fallout from that, whatever. That's the fantasy.
Yeah.
But the idea that he's like, well, no, you're not spies anymore and you now have to start unpacking all of these things that you've learned as like child soldiers is like, whoa, hold on. I know it's tongue-in-cheek. I'm not trying to take it seriously, but it does.
It's a prime example of the writer's need for the characters to either accomplish something or get somewhere.
Yeah.
And they need it to happen. For some reason, and it's not necessarily a problem because that's just the aesthetic of the show, they get from point A to point B in the most roundabout, lucrative way possible, which is frankly very entertaining and much more complicated than, like, here's a pamphlet for assimilating back into civilian life. I'll see you later. Jerry leaves, and then they steal a ship.
Yeah.
Rather than, here's a pamphlet for a seminar that you have to go to that you could fly to and have a ship, I guess.
I feel like there's a lot of that. Would you say, Victoria, from having watched so many Totally Spies, that there's like a lot in these plots that gets a lot done?
Yeah.
And is like, ostensibly, if you glaze over the details, it makes sense. But when you look at the details, you're like, wait,
you
there's
literally
a lot.
just have to like accept like, okay, yeah, like there's a seminar and they're going to fly to it. Like, because if you start thinking about every plot point, you will never stop.
It breaks under the weight of its own.
Like, on one hand, you can be like, oh, it's lazy writing, whatever. But on the other hand, it's definitely camp.
Yeah.
This is funny. That's a funny
Yeah.
thing. That's a funny concept.
Yeah.
And on the third hand, oh God, 3 hands. It's cool. It's campy and it's cool. You want things to seem complicated and spy-y and techy and adulty for the kids to be like, whoa, awesome. And then for the adults who are like, this is obviously a joke. This is a funny, overcomplicated joke, right? You can't say it's bad writing because they
Not
got
at
6
all.
seasons out of it. So it's got to be camp.
Yeah. Where did I leave off? Right. So they go to the seminar, but they don't actually. They steal a plane and they go and intercept the spies who told Jerry that they're helping rehabilitate these power plants, but they're actually destroying more. They go to this volcano, this is where the villain is revealed. His name is Edison, and his plan is to steal solar powers.
Oh God.
His plan is
no.
his plan is to destroy all the power plants in the world, which will
Leave everyone
without power.
Without
Okay,
power.
tracks.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
But then-
it kind of tracks.
Kind of.
And then on top of that, he has an oil rig-sized device in the ocean. It looks like a giant gyroscope, and it can control the rotation of the Earth.
Yeah.
And in
So
addition,
he can control when it's day or night.
so in addition to the fact that he could definitely kill everyone on the planet with this device alone, his goal is, I will get to control who gets sun or not. And since I've destroyed all the power plants, the only available way to get power now is definitely only solar power. So I'll have everyone pay me to turn the planet so that the sun is facing them.
I love the steps and order in which this is revealed. I think it's incredible.
It's extremely fluid in that scene where he lays out his whole plan.
So fast. It comes out of nowhere. He goes, I've destroyed half of the power generating facilities. You go, half? The world is in chaos. And then he goes, so I can charge nations for power. And you go, okay, so you control the power. Okay, that tracks. And then he goes, solar energy. And you go, you're going to charge for solar energy? Well, okay, but everyone has a sun. And he goes, no, I have the sun. There's a tangent about where he's like charging Russia. Like Russia's already paying for the sun. And then afterwards, someone goes, oh, it's okay. Only half the power plants have been destroyed. Why was Russia paying for the sun?
Maybe he just targeted Russian power plants specifically.
And one of the spies is like, oh, can you fix the power plant in Beverly Hills? I have a movie. And they're like, sure. And then they go to the movie and I'm like, that was fast. And I guess it's fine. Whoa.
Well, okay. Also, Edison has brainwashed the 3 older spies. So, like 7 years ago, not like brainwashed, but he's put a device on their necks that
Classic
controls them.
back of neck chip.
Yeah.
For specifically like female assassin characters. Why does that always happen?
I don't know. It is an interesting trope, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's because nobody wants to, I don't know. The further back you go in time, the less inclined writers seem to be to have fully evil women.
Yeah. There's also a lot, once the younger spies start fighting the older spies, there's a lot of like ageism. Like, they start making comments to the older spies about how old they look.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, pairing that with the third episode we watched where they meet their older
Yeah,
selves.
yeah.
It's so good.
I love how the third episode where they go ahead in time and meet their older selves, I did the math, are like 36, I guess.
Yeah.
And,
also, it's
like-
set in 2025, which is fun.
Yeah. Guys, we got 2 years to get flying cars operational.
Yeah.
But like the way that they aged up their character designs was actually like impressive for how little time you know that they had. And at the same time was like they added 2 lines for cheekbones.
That was a YouTube comment. I mean a streaming comment.
Well, they're all publicly on YouTube. Like, they're officially on YouTube.
Oh,
yeah.
There was a YouTube comment that was like, how do we age up character? Add cheekbone. And I was like, really? Oh, gosh. But they do make a really great, I know this is crazy tangent, but they do make a really great point where the younger version of the spies are like, oh my God, we're so old. How terrible. And the little spies are like, well, we don't feel old.
Yeah.
We still feel like us. Like, aging is just going to happen and it's fine and it's okay.
Yeah.
But then they're like, old.
If I ever saw that episode before, I would have seen it when I was like in 5th grade, so younger than the Totally Spies.
Mm-hmm.
And I am now currently approaching the age of the future Totally Spies. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I want to be future Totally Spies. I want to have dresses that look like they're just a series of metal slats because
Yeah,
it's the future.
Their outfits were great until that one. And then I was like, how do they move?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it seemed... It was
They had-
porcupine-esque.
They had other future spy outfits. Like, Clover tries on one of her future self's spy outfits, and it's better than whatever they put them in for real, but I digress.
Alas.
The second episode we watched was Brain Drain.
Yes.
In this one, Sam gets a date with this boy because he wants some tutoring for, like, their biology class or
Because
something.
she's smart.
Yeah, because she's smart. Simultaneously, she's also studying to be on this game show, which is kind of like Jeopardy or just like any game show where you go and you compete with someone to see who's the smartest, who can answer the most questions.
And the way the game show works is so... Oh, my God. Because they're like, there's many rounds with multiple questions, but only the last question matters to determine who wins, which is so funny to me.
So Sam, she goes on the game show and she goes, I forgot the name of the girl she goes against.
Southern accent, big hair.
A rather classist stereotype,
Yeah.
I think.
She was like a dishwasher or something.
Yeah, like a waitress.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Whoa.
There are some
hey,
very
waitresses are
unfortunate
s-
stereotypes in this show.
it's what you
Yeah.
get for early 2000s, I suppose.
So Sam goes on the show, but every time they ask her a question, her mind goes blank. And they plant this earlier because they ask her a question that she literally answered that morning in class. So you know she knows the answer to this question. I think it's like, what were the 3
The
dinosaur
4
ages or whatever?
The 4 eras of the Earth or something.
Yeah.
Paleozoic, Mesozoic,
But
something.
immediately Sam forgets. She suddenly...
Cenozoic.
Is that true? Are there still 4? I'm looking this up. Keep continue.
Okay.
Coolozoic.
Suddenly, Sam can't remember anything, and the other girl gets all the answers correct. Clover and Alex, they're surprised because Sam is usually very smart and she studied very hard, but they're like, well, I guess that other girl was just really smart. Suddenly, Sam does not act like herself. She doesn't remember what day it is. She starts not remembering what Alex and Clover's names are. Finally, Clover and Alex are like, we need to call Jerry. So this is one of the instances where instead of Jerry calling them in, they're the ones who go to Jerry and they're like, something's wrong with Sam. And Jerry's like, this is very strange. And then they start looking into, a lot of the contestants who have been on this game show in like the past few weeks have kind of gone missing.
They've vanished from public life.
Yes. They've disappeared from the public eye. And so Jerry sends Clover and Alex to go and investigate. Meanwhile, Sam is with Jerry.
As he tries to figure out.
He tries to figure out like if he can restore her memories, what's going on, but she's mostly just muttering like, wow. Clover and Alex go, they disguise themselves, they sneak into a tour group, and then once the tour group moves on from the main show area, they investigate the machines that are used for the game show, and they find out that the person who sits in chair A gets their brain drained, and all of their IQ knowledge goes into the brain of the person sitting in chair B.
Incredible.
Basically, what's been happening is all the contestants who are these super smart genius people will go on the show and then they'll lose all of their smarts and it'll go to this girl. So Clover and Alex are like, we got to do something, but they get caught and they get locked up in a room.
I actually kind of enjoyed this dynamic because it's not just like, I'm the evil villain of the quiz show and I'm stealing everyone's smarts to make a super smart computer or something. It's like, no, I'm in this like romantic tryst with this other contestant and we're both in on it.
It's smarts and $10 million.
Yeah. I think wasn't the goal to get super smart and then like win all of the game show money?
It was very vague. It was like, first this waitress will win like a bajillion bucks from the game show. And next, she'll be so smart that we'll take over the world.
Again, so campy, so incredible. Also, they get locked in like a voice recording box and then someone's like, you'll run out of oxygen. I'm like, what kind of voice recording box? We're in one right now.
It's incredible the amount of times they got to figure out, like, because it follows that structure, that very, like, secret agent Bond, James Bond.
Yeah, they always get captured. They always have to escape.
There's always
they've
some
been captured.
convoluted device
they
that's going to kill them.
They always use gadgets to get out of the situation.
Oh, and this is it. This is
the most iconic scene.
Iconic meme scene.
Even if you don't know the show, you may have seen this as a clip.
Yeah. So basically, Alex and Clover, they're stuck in this voice recording box or whatever, and they're going to lose oxygen. But Clover's like, don't worry, we have our lipstick laser. And you think, okay, she's going to like do like the lightsaber thing where she shines the laser at the wall and forms a human-sized hole and they kick their way out. No, she sets up their compacts, which again are their communication devices, but they look very similar to...
Well, they also have mirrors in them.
Yeah, they're
like
mirrors. Like they
compacts.
look like regular compacts. And so she sets them up facing each other and then she shines the laser into the mirror so that it like ricochets.
So if you shine a laser at a mirror and it bounces off that mirror, it'll bounce off in a specific direction.
Yeah.
But like... if you were to try and angle it so that the laser would reflect into a compact that was like facing the opposite of the other one, I don't know if you can do that unless you are shooting it through the other compact.
Yeah. Because it'll always follow the same angle.
Yeah. And it definitely won't do what it does in the show, which is that after Alex turns off the laser, the compacts sustain a weapons-grade laser between their two tiny mirrors. And then... Go ahead.
And then Clover turns the mirrors towards the door. And, like, that's when the lasers melt a hole through in which they can crawl out.
Theoretically, slicing everything in half in their path, including their ankles.
Yeah.
Just tearing them apart.
At least Clover is standing behind the compacts, but I think someone once did a graphic because Alex is standing next to the door. So literally, unless she jumped at the exact moment, her legs would get sliced off. Anyways, it's really funny.
And then the lasers essentially fire from the compacts, melt a hole through the door, and then the response that how did you know how to do that was, I believe, racquetball maneuver? Which is like, what?
This is kind of the prime example, I think, of when we talk about, like, the details of this show don't make any sense. But if you just vibe, if you just let it happen.
Yeah. Again, it's making it overly complicated so it's cool and making it so overly complicated that it's camp. Because you didn't need to do any of that. And it doesn't make sense and you would have harmed yourself. But you did it. And this is what lives on. This is why it endures.
Anyway, so meanwhile, Sam escapes from Jerry. She just like starts wandering through the city and then she sees the sushi restaurant where she planned to meet up with this boy. But she's not going there because she remembers that she has this date. She literally just goes because she's like, whoa, shiny sushi sign or whatever.
And she eats a towel.
And then she goes and she sits down and she's like looking around, wide-eyed wonder. And then the guy is like, yeah, so should we eat first before we study? And she's like, yeah, sounds good. And then the waiter brings them towels, like hand towels, and she puts it in her mouth and she swallows it.
It's a pretty decently sized hand towel, too.
Meanwhile, the boy just looks at her and is flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted, but not enough to stop whatever's happening and continues with the date/study session.
Jerry finds her and shows up. And then, of course, she's like, I don't want to go with you, old man.
Which,
and then
big ups to this random boy. Because if a random old man who is British busts into my sushi shop and goes, all right, random girl coming with me, you should definitely say something.
Yeah. So the boy, like, he does say, like, she doesn't want to go with you, but Jerry takes Sam anyways.
Jerry does the look over there trick
Yeah.
and then runs.
Which comes back later because at the end, Sam is like really disappointed because she did like this boy and she's sad that their date didn't work out. And then one of the other girls is like, I think you dodged a bullet because I don't think you should date someone who falls for the look over there trick, which is very funny and
That's
also
true.
very accurate. They defeat the villain, obviously, and then they give Sam back her memories.
They do a golf cart chase through the studio lot, which is
Oh,
cool.
right. Yeah.
But then the villains just like have a plane. They're on a plane now. Where'd the plane come from? And that flies just low enough so where they can catch the plane on their rocket boots and then they crash the plane into the forest.
It does the whole like movie studios are the size of planets
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
trope
And
where
they have planes
yeah.
that work. And you can just steal.
Then we got Future Shock. We've alluded to it a lot. It's basically one day the girls are helping Jerry organize some gadgets and file them away, and they accidentally click one that takes them to 2025, to the future.
Whoa.
And there's this whole subplot where the mean girl Mandy broke a nail at cheer practice, and that skyrockets her into a media empire where she brainwashes everyone into wanting to be her.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the Doctor Who plot where the Master turns everyone on Earth into masters. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
So Sam, Clover, and Alex show up in the future. At first, they don't realize it's the future, but then they start being like, oh, this shop wasn't here before, or when did this open up? And they start commenting on the interesting fashion choices. And then they see people start walking out and talking like Mandy and saying things that Mandy has said. And they're like, something is going on. Something weird is going on. Then they finally see this huge poster of Mandy, and they realize she looks a lot older than the last time they saw her, and they realize they're in the future. They go to WOOHP, and then Gladys has been put to sleep, so they wake her up, and they're like, Gladys, what's happening?
Speaking of Gladys, by the way, because Gladys is just an unhelpful robot that's supposed to give them gadgets. I looked it up. Portal came out in 2007. Gladys appeared in season 3 of Totally Spies, and that was in like, I think 2004.
Whoa. Totally Spies
So-
first.
Yeah. She gets deactivated by season 6 or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But she's not helpful.
Yeah.
Do your job, Gladys.
Anyways, Gladys talks to the girls and says, well, Jerry froze himself in a cryo chamber because he got too old, but he didn't want to die. So he just froze himself in hopes that by the time he is woken up, there will be
A cure for death.
Cure for death.
Which is wonderful, especially because he looks a little bit like Walt Disney.
Yeah. Wild inclusion. Just like, how do we make it so that Jerry's unavailable? He's trying to find a cure for death, so he's frozen himself. Perfect. Print it.
Perfect. We don't want the kids to think about Jerry dying, so we'll tell them that
He's not dead.
he's not dying, but he's worried about it.
Yeah. At first, they want to respect Jerry's wishes. So then they go back to their house. I think starting season 3 or 4, the girls start living together. In the earlier seasons, they're not roommates, but they end up rooming together in like this giant Beverly Hills mansion. Although their houses were already huge to begin with. They're very rich.
Do they have parents?
Yes.
Okay.
Their moms will show up in future episodes.
I'll say this, and it might make some sense, because this was animated by a French studio.
Right. Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, the creator of Miraculous Ladybug, which is a more contemporary superhero animated show, was a storyboard artist on Totally Spies.
That makes so much
Wow.
sense.
And he's been put in charge of the new reboot for Totally Spies, I think.
Oh, right.
But I'm reading off Wikipedia, there's this article, I guess, called Achieving a Global Reach on Children's Cultural Markets. Basically, the series was originally designed to reach an American audience, but has garnered appeal from its humor based on a stereotypical European vision of American references, while appearing to be original and innovative to a U.S. audience. Which makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because everything is heightened. This image of Beverly Hills and of high school life.
Yeah.
The fact that they are living together in a mansion.
Yeah, so they go back to their mansion. They arrive just as their future selves get captured by Mandy's robots.
Which we never see again.
It's
Yeah.
very unclear if they're robots or just people that are like dressed like her guard acolytes.
Yeah, but they're captured and they start investigating. They start looking around their rooms, figuring out who they are now as older spies.
There's a really nice moment where all three of them are worried that they've changed too much.
Yeah.
And then all three of them find some confirmation. Oh, I'm still me.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I should change my password.
Yeah. I still use the same password that I used 10
20
years
years
ago.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah,
I guess it was 20 years ago.
Get a password vault. And this episode has been sponsored.
So yes, they do have this very nice moment, and then they decide to confront Mandy themselves because Mandy has this plan to
Hypnotize?
like the whole world. Because right now she's basically got Beverly Hills under her thumb. It's called Mandy Hills now, and but she intends to reach a global audience. There's like a broadcast that she's doing that will get broadcast all around the world, and that's how she's going to hypnotize everyone. So they go to Mandy's office station, whatever, and they free their future selves. They have a very nice bonding moment. They also, at this point, realize that their bodies are not reacting well to being in the future. They're basically losing all their strength. So it's difficult for them to fight Mandy. So instead of them fighting alongside their future selves and defeating Mandy, their future selves say, "We got this. You girls go and wake up Jerry and have him send you back to the past." They part ways. It's a tearful goodbye. And then the older spies defeat Mandy and all is well. And then the younger spies get sent back to the present day where they use a gadget that will fix Mandy's broken nail so that she won't become this evil multimedia reporter mastermind. And the day is saved!
Hooray!
Truly unhinged.
There's a couple moments in that episode where they use gadgets in a way similar to the laser mirror. There's I don't quite understand what it is, but it's a hairdryer that shoots extremely hot air, hot enough to melt glass.
Yeah.
Because Mandy traps them in these glass capsules that are electrified. So if they try to break out, they'll be electrocuted and harmed, I assume. And I guess no one thought to disarm them because they have all their stuff. And one of the spies blasts a hole in the glass with this extremely hot gun, walks up to the next spy, turns it directly towards the camera, and fires. And I immediately thought, oh, she's dead.
Yeah. She fires it at the person behind the glass.
But they're fine.
Yeah.
Moments like that where they have a gadget, and sometimes the gadgets don't work as well as you'd hope, like the rocket boots chasing the plane. Like, they should be able to catch the plane, but for some reason they can't because storytelling, and that's fine. But also, during the Spies versus Spies, Edison sicks a giant robot spider on them.
It seems like overkill because they're like tied up.
They can't escape. They're clearly trapped. Then the spider approaches, and instead of eating them or something, wraps them
or
up
just hitting them with a giant metal limb.
Yeah, wraps them up in silk, which allows them to escape.
Yeah.
And then they just one-shot it in the head with a cold gun. And that's it. That's the spider fight.
Incredible.
This is a great show.
It's incredible. There's also, in that final fight in Future Shock with Mandy, because it's like, oh, are we just going to have Mandy versus the three spies? Because it's already pretty ambitious for high school Mandy to try and specifically be a supreme overlord bully to these three girls that seem like they're doing well enough for themselves.
Yeah.
They're not picked on by everyone in school. It's just this one girl who I guess has henchmen, but none of them are identifiable.
She has her two best friends who I think they might occasionally have some plot points or at least recurring story arcs.
It's
but
156
they're
episodes,
mostly,
so
they're mostly just kind of like the evil stepsisters where Mandy will do something mean and then they'll laugh and be like, oh my God, Mandy, you're so cool.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, in the scene where older Mandy fights older Clover, Sam, and Alex, a bunch of those guards that we mentioned of hers that all look like her appear. But unlike the other guards we saw earlier that maybe have different color hair and are like different people, they all look like high school Mandy.
Yeah.
They fan out behind her and they're all identical. And I'm like, are these robots?
Clones?
Are these clones?
Plastic surgery?
Has Mandy like
she's mandified everyone.
Again, Doctor Who Master episode where he literally turns everyone into himself. Classic. Amazing.
It just like appears and then we never address it again. It's like it's like 20 Mandys.
This makes me intensely curious about the not reboot, continuation, the modern recontinuation, which, first of all, pay your actors. But second of all, how will they contend with a changing audience? Will they commit entirely to the way they did it before with these campy, nonsensical plots and just go all at it? Or will they try to update it?
Okay, so here's where I kind of want to get into future world building a little bit because the world building is not consistent where, like in season 1, they have tech, obviously. There's gadgets, but a lot of it feels still very early 2000s, right? Like there's no like super high tech stuff happening. But then when they go to the future, that's when you get more of the high tech holograms.
Future aesthetic.
Future aesthetics. Yeah.
Like they definitely have things like flying cars in the regular Totally Spies
Yeah,
2005 timeline. But the future verse is like, no, everyone has flying cars.
Yeah. Okay, for example, in the movie, when they first go to high school, Clover's locker fully extends out into a wardrobe. And it has clothes and makeup and stuff for them to try on. And then it just compresses back into a regular school locker. So they've integrated more technology into the world. Whereas before it was like, okay, like they go to school and people have flying cars, but lockers are still lockers. Phones are still what you
Flip
expect them to be.
phones.
Yeah. So it's very interesting how suddenly in the movie, the technology seems so much more advanced. Because I can kind of understand if in future seasons there's more high-tech stuff going on. Like in some of the college university episodes, they have one of those floating, what is it called? Like shuttles that's similar to kind of what are those called? Like the magnetic like trains that they have
Like
now.
a bullet train?
Like a bullet train. Like it kind of floats on the ground, but it like moves really fast and takes
Interesting.
students from class to class. So they have those, but I can kind of understand that because it's the future. They're at university, time has passed, so technology maybe moves at a fast speed. But in the movie, it's going back in time to before they even became spies. So why is there suddenly so much high-tech stuff?
It's definitely a fly-by vibes
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of situation here. I'm sure they're like, how do we show that Clover likes lots of clothes and stuff like in 5 seconds? Her locker folds out and it's a wardrobe. Boom, done.
It's efficiency.
Totally Spies' run is interesting because it seems like the first few seasons were all in pretty close proximity to each other years-wise. And then there was a break, I think, before like the 6th season, like a few years.
Yeah, well, like I didn't even know there was a 6th season until we started looking into Totally Spies for the podcast. Like I said, I mostly watched seasons 3 and 4. Like when I went through and read all of the plot descriptions, I remember more of these episodes. There's more villains who come back and reoccur throughout the series. Like, for example, they're not villains, but their moms appear in a few episodes. Their moms basically just look like them, but older also. So you can very easily tell who's supposed to be whose mother. Jerry has an evil twin brother.
Is his name Larry?
No, his evil twin brother is Terrence.
I
Oh.
love
And he
that.
has this
I
like
love that.
Cockney accent.
Oh, more classism. Great.
So close to Terry, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So close, yet so far.
I almost had you guys watch the episode called Evil Jerry, where Terrence shows up and turns Jerry evil by sending him his favorite chocolates embedded with some kind of poison or something that
Evil juice.
they tested it on rats and it made them very vicious and evil. So they do that
Whoa.
to Jerry. And so he eats the chocolates and he releases all of the villains from WOOHP prison.
Oh,
He
that's
gets on a
right.
motorcycle and becomes like cool motorcycle Jerry.
Wait, I have a question about WOOHP Prison.
Yeah.
Because in the Totally Spies
In Future
episode,
Shock.
Future Shock, they put Mandy into a prison box, which rises into the ceiling, but it doesn't vanish. It just like stays there.
Yeah.
Mandy's just stuck in the ceiling now
Yeah.
for eternity.
And it's
I-
like it's not like it's a living space. It's like Han Solo and Kryptonite size. It's just this thin little slab. And then Jerry's like, well, we'll put her in containment. And she goes, ah! And then vanishes into the ceiling.
This isn't solitary confinement. This is like full body confinement.
Yeah.
You live in my ceiling now.
Yeah, I don't think that ever happens again. I don't know why they did that.
WOOHP takes a dark turn in the future.
Yeah.
I think the
Now
idea
that we-
Laws are different.
Now that we have cryo technology online, we just freeze all of the supervillains.
Whoa.
Yeah, speaking of WOOHP and just Jerry in general, the way that he gets them to become spies is a little questionable, in which I mean he basically manipulates them into becoming spies.
Jerry, my guy.
Basically, in the movie, all 3 girls have just arrived at Beverly Hills for the first time. And at first, they really don't fit in. Sam's really excited to learn and be smart and stuff. But the principal is like, we don't like people who like try to suck up to teachers and act like they're super smart. So
We don't like learning at this school. No learning for you, child.
But the girls become bonded because so basically they're out on the town. They pass by that sushi restaurant, which is a recurring location in the Totally Spies universe. Meanwhile, Jerry and like an army of WOOHP agents are spying on them because these 3 girls have the spy gene. And
Eugenics, great.
Yeah. And so
my God.
Jerry has been watching them since they were like young kids. And
Whoa.
basically keeping track of their progress, like monitoring them to see if they have the potential to be WOOHP agents. And the other WOOHP agents are asking Jerry, are you sure about this, boss? And Jerry's like, yes, these will be the future of WOOHP. And so they do this whole convoluted thing where they put the girls in danger by dropping the sushi sign on them, and they have to stop it from hurting people and themselves. And then after that, Jerry says, would you like to be spies? And the girls are like, of course not. We didn't come to Beverly Hills to become spies. We came here to go to school and go shopping and meet cute boys. Jerry says, well, okay, I understand if you don't want to be spies, but here's my number or whatever. Call me if you change your mind. The next day, they get accidentally abducted and they just have to go on a mission because...
So Jerry coerces them into spydom.
And they call him out for it, too. They're like, Jerry...
Jerry, this is evil.
I knew there was something up with this Jerry guy. I knew it.
Yeah.
So if Jerry is already, well, maybe not evil as much as just amoral.
Well, basically, the girls end up falling in love with spy work because Jerry puts them through training, and then they go and they solve the case. The whole villain plot of the movie is so silly.
So it's like trauma bonding. Excellent.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then by the end, Jerry says, well, I totally understand if you don't want to be spies anymore. And they look at each other and they say, well, you did coerce us into being spies, Jerry, but if it weren't for you, we wouldn't have become friends. And we do like being spies. So I guess we'll keep going. And that's how they become spies.
More power to him.
I personally think that I did not need to know the backstory in order to enjoy it. I think the way that they became spies made me enjoy the series a little less.
Like, out of all of the options you can take to get those characters where they are now, that's a wild one to take.
Like, why did Jerry have to manipulate them into... Why did he have to stalk them? I mean, he stalks them all the time already, but, like... It's weird.
I don't know. I mean, apparently for 6 seasons, they thought we didn't need to know the answer.
Yeah.
And the money rolled in. I found something else on the Wikipedia page talking about, like, the lead up to the release of this movie.
Ooh.
Apparently, to coincide with, the 6th season's premiere, the company that, like, produced this animation series, the French one, in association with Chateau de Versailles, Spectacles, whatever, and TF1 organized an event at the Palace of Versailles.
Whoa.
Taking place in the summer of 2013. The Palace of Versailles,
The
people.
Palace of Versailles.
For Totally Spies.
They actually...
For WOOHP.
You don't need the H in WOOHP. You can take that out. It's not necessary.
It can just be the World Organization of Protection.
Like, why didn't you specify humans? Like, some bears are getting attacked. You're going to be like, sorry, not a department.
In the last episode of season 6, they actually go to the Palace of Versailles.
Oh,
Wow.
Look at that. Did they blow it up?
I'm not sure. Let's see. Let me quickly read.
Because they blow up a lot of things in this series, and it seems to be fine afterwards.
That's true. You can blow up the world's power plants, and it's pretty easy to whip those back together.
This Wikipedia
problem.
summary does not give me very much, but there is a very funny line. It says, they must save themselves, their classmates, and the palace before it's too late. By the way, Mandy hits her head in a tree, and she thinks that she's Marie Antoinette.
Incredible.
Yeah, that sounds like a Totally Spies episode.
Yeah.
I just remembered in the Spies versus Spies, the dam they blow up is the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
Oh!
Jerry's like, oh, they already got the Hoover Dam. And I was like, the Hoover Dam? They blew it up? You can't just gloss over that, Jerry. This is not a job for 3 teenage girls. This is a job for international crime hunters.
But it's fine, because at the end, Clover can still go on her movie date.
Yeah. So it all works.
The older spies just go and fix it up. Put
Yeah.
it back together like a Lego.
I almost had you guys watch this episode called Matchmaker or something, where in the episode, Clover, first of all, has sworn off dating for the time being. She's on a dating freeze. But there's a new contraption at the mall where if you go inside, you can sit down and it'll ask you a series of questions and then you can find out who your perfect guy is. And then one day later that week, you'll get a note that says, "We've matched you with Simon," or whatever. And then you'll go on the date and you'll realize it's literally your quote unquote perfect guy. So Sam and Alex and all the other girls at Beverly Hills High, except for Clover because she's on a dating ban, get enamored by their dream guys. And then the background plot is that there's an upcoming dance, but all the guys now at the school have no girls to ask because they're all on dates with dream guy.
And they're all straight.
Yeah.
Unanimously.
All straight, and they've all got the same pants and hair. And
They literally mill around. They're like, "What do we do? All the girls are taken now." And then it's revealed that the guy who created the dating contraption, he also has some appearance altering technology. And so he is all of the dream guys. He's every single one of them. He literally goes to the museum with Alex. Oh, no, he goes to the museum with Clover. And then he changes appearances and goes to a self-defense class with Alex.
That's a scheduling nightmare.
Sorry, I said Clover. He goes on to the museum with Sam. Sorry, there's too many girls.
Oh, thank you
There's
for clarifying.
3 girls. That's not too many.
Too many for this guy, apparently.
Yeah.
He's
So-
dating an entire high school's worth of girls.
That's a crime. I think. I don't know anything about this guy, but I'm going to say that's a crime.
Is he another high school boy who's just smart and has horrible ethics? Or, like, is
I can't
he...
remember.
Because if he is not a high school boy...
Also, this is literally just Facebook stalking someone before asking them out.
Wow, yeah, huh?
And then just changing your entire personality to match what you think that person wants.
Like...
I think he is a high schooler. His name is Eugene Snit.
Snit?
There was a post or something recently that was like someone named Eugene who was really upset that Eugene was like, quote, a bad name, unquote. And he wanted some people to write stories about heroic Eugene so they could reclaim the name Eugene.
That's really funny. No, the character's name is Eugene Snit, who has created a dating service and is multitasking as every boyfriend with an evil plan to break every girl's heart on Valentine's Day.
Buddy, you do not have to wait until Valentine's Day. I assure you that's going to happen beforehand, the way you're carrying on. There is no time for sleep or food, Eugene. You will die before Valentine's
But the
Day.
girls get so enamored that Sam and Alex consider dropping out of school after the dance
Whoa.
so that they can just spend more time with their boyfriends.
Okay. Because now I'm like, nobody's that perfect.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you took a freaking BuzzFeed quiz to find out what somebody wants.
That's why I was like, I thought there was going to be a mind control element, but it's legitimately that he's just the perfect guy and they're so excited to hang out with him.
This guy read one of those books.
Yeah. Like, I am a dating master and I'll teach you how to date lots of women.
How does it end? Like, does it all just come crashing down around him?
Do they
because it
lock
is
him in a
impossible?
box and shove him in the ceiling?
Well, Clover basically exposes him because they all go to the dance. All the girls are waiting for their dates. And then Clover pushes him.
How did he think it was going to work?
At the same time? Eugene!
Well, no, I think the point was he was going to break their hearts, right?
Oh, the dance was on Valentine's?
Oh,
Yeah.
so he was just going to
Oh.
It's
not
like a
show up.
Valentine's Day dance.
Okay.
So he was just going to watch Netflix at home.
Well, I think he was going to show up and be like, ha ha ha. I don't know.
But what does he get? What do you achieve?
He gets to watch them all cry and be sad.
So
I
he's a
don't know.
sadist.
Yeah. Clover basically exposes him, and there's a button or something that can allow him to change his appearance. And so Clover is like, here's Dylan and Brian and Bob. I'm just making up names. But then the girls are scandalized, and I don't know, he gets arrested or something. I don't know.
I should hope he gets arrested.
Yeah. And then Clover goes back to dating after that. Oh, I think at the end of the episode, Clover starts her own personal matchmaking service. Like she
Whoa. Hold on. Clover, did we just learn a lesson here?
She sets up a booth on campus where I guess people will come up to her and say, here's my dream girl and here's my dream guy, and then she'll match them up. But it's really a secret plot to basically field all of the cute boys before they can date anyone else.
Wow.
Clover.
Listen, she was turned into a spy at a young age
Yeah.
from a perfectly amoral man who has no standards aside from accomplishing a very specific task. That's what she's learned.
Yeah.
Clover and Mandy often fight over the same boy.
I mean, they're spies. Just disintegrate Mandy. Easy.
Easy.
I've only watched 3 episodes, and in 2 of those episodes, there was a device that could disintegrate Mandy.
I know it's a bad faith interpretation, but you do wonder if you're giving high schoolers with the capacity to commit extreme violence access to extreme weaponry. Do you think at all they ever thought to themselves, I could make this problem go away with the nuclear-powered laser inside my
Wait.
purse?
Didn't they say one of their gadgets is nuclear powered?
The rocket boots, I
The
think.
rocket.
And I'm pretty sure they
Whoa.
said fusion, which I'm like, they are way ahead of the times. Like,
There's radiation with fusion. That's a like.
oh yeah.
Don't wear those boots.
Yeah.
Don't put them on.
They should have been able to catch that jet.
They should really have been able to catch that. I think it was a propeller plane.
Before we wrap up the episode, I just wanted to go into some of the recurring villains. Well, specifically, I found this post that was, what are the darkest Totally Spies episodes?
Ooh.
So there's a villain called Helga who turns people into animals and then skins them alive.
Good.
What?
No. Good heavens.
And she's a recurring villain. She comes back multiple times.
They don't kill her?
They don't stick her in the ceiling at least?
Well, she gets captured, but I think she escapes.
Well, if she devised a plan to turn people animals and skin them alive, I'm sure she has the capacity to figure out how to get out of a ceiling.
She's one of the only
true.
villains who actively, kills people.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So,
no, hold on.
is
the
there
power
like a-
plant blow up guy definitely
Yeah.
killed some people. Hoover Dam was not empty.
That's true. Yeah.
So, okay, because in those like in the Hoover Dam situation, we see a security guard see one of those robot spiders and go, "Oh no, something bad's
He yelled
happening."
code red, which is code for spider bot.
Yeah. And so he runs out, and then and then it all blows up. And so you're like, okay, well, the only person we saw in there, the night security, I'm sure there's many people, survived. And that was the episode pre-lap. But for Helga's episode, does that mean the pre-lap includes like a person whose face we see getting turned into an animal, and then Helga going, "Time to skin you alive"?
Oh gosh.
And we're
I don't know.
supposed to-
I don't remember watching this episode.
Like she's walking down the street with like a fox scarf or whatever, and then they're like, "Oh my god, that's Tom!" I want to see this episode.
Genetically
curious.
transmogrified
I think what
Tom.
happens is there's a cruise ship that disappears, and then
That's a
the
lot of
spies
people.
go and investigate an uncharted island, which is full of strange animal and human hybrids.
Gosh.
Oh, that's worse.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
And then they find out that Helga is turning the captured passengers into hybrids and killing them to make fur coats that are seamless.
oh. Oh no,
Oh,
no.
no.
How do you market that?
This coat is perfectly seamless. It only costs about 5 human lives.
Yeah.
Like you have mink gloves, but then those mink turns into human skin at some point, and you're like, it's like you're not even wearing gloves.
Well,
and
I think
you're like,
I think
"Wah."
it's meant to be if you're wearing a full coat, it's one.
It's one person.
One piece.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because it's one whole person's
Yeah.
skin.
Anyways, extremely disturbing. Apparently, Clover becomes a cat girl in that episode too.
Oh.
Of
So,
course.
yeah.
Oh no, you know for a fact that that's what they started with.
Yeah.
They were like, how can we turn Clover to a cat girl? And then they worked their way backwards into skinning human people hybrids and making them into boots.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's also an episode where Sam, Clover, and Alex are framed for a bank robbery. Someone clones them, and then there's footage of them robbing a bank. So then Jerry calls them into WOOHP and immediately tries to arrest them
Oh.
and reprogram their brains with a chip.
no, that was the bad guy plan in Spies versus Spies.
Yeah.
Hold on, Jerry.
hold on here.
Whoa.
And so the whole episode is them trying to run away from Jerry and also clear their names. Because they escape from
Jerry!
WOOHP, and then Jerry keeps chasing after them.
Okay, so if this is Jerry, if this is baseline Jerry, what the heck is going on with Terrence? Jerry's quote-unquote evil twin.
There is no justice. There's no due process. Well, I saw a video of you robbing a bank, therefore your mind is mine.
Yeah. I mainly wanted you guys to watch this so that I had someone to talk to about how insane it is.
Jerry, man. You gotta retire, man. At least No Geneva Conventions in the WOOHP universe.
It's just WOOHP.
It's just WOOHP.
They're everywhere. They can suck you into headquarters from a mailbox.
Yeah.
WOOHP, WOOHP.
Any other last thoughts about the Totally Spies?
I think we've said everything that needs to be said.
I mean, if I had time, I could just keep pulling out plot descriptions and being like, oh yeah, in this episode, their moms try to get them to stop being spies, and then they get captured and their moms have to become spies. The matchmaking one is pretty unhinged just on a teenage drama level episode, because I do enjoy the episodes where it's less focused on crazy world-altering villain plots and it's more
Quote,
grounded
Yeah.
in high school problems. So I always think those are fun. That's why I almost had you guys watch that one, just because it was a good example of
The merging of the concepts.
yeah. But it was too weird.
Jennifer Hale voices Sam.
Ain't that
Commander Shepard, Jennifer Hale voices Sam. My
She
favorite
actually
store
also-
on the Citadel voices Sam.
She actually also voices Mandy.
That's... Voice actors are wizards.
Yeah.
There's a number of names in this. Like, if you look at the other actors and actresses, like, they've been in a ton of stuff. Jerry, if I have this right, Jerry did the voice of, what is it, Ironside or Ironhide?
Ironhide.
In the Michael Bay Transformers movies?
Oh, fantastic.
Isn't
Jerry has two voice actors. He has one actor for seasons 1 and 2, and then a new one for season 3 through 6.
that? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I will say, we didn't get to talk about this that much, but in those later seasons, definite market increase in like the animation style and quality,
Yeah.
the consistency of the frames.
Well, thanks for watching Totally Spies. Thanks for going with us on this wild journey of wacky spy adventures. I still want to be a spy. I don't think I'd be a very good one, but
It sounds like a lot of work.
it sounds like a lot of work, but like I could use some cool gadgets.
And if you can get out of any situation by just kind of like making up physics.
Right. No, sorry. I have to talk about this one other world building thing that they show in the movie, because a lot of times they go and they get just sucked out of their high school classes and they go on these missions, right? So in your mind, you're thinking, are they doing okay in school? Their attendance record must be abysmal.
Someone must have seen them drop through the floor.
Yeah. In the movie, they explain it in multiple ways. One is there are holograms that replace them whenever they're on missions.
Whoa.
Whoa.
So it looks like they're attending classes, but they're not. Alternatively, let's say they have a big biology test or something, but they spent all of their time on this mission, so they didn't have time to study. Oh no, they're not going to pass the test. So instead, Jerry will hire them a tutor who will just kind of brain blast them with information on the way back to school.
Huh.
Like, okay, this is basically what's on the test. No, this.
Yeah.
And just like inject it into their brain?
Well, no, it's like a legitimate tutor who stands at
Okay.
the front of the class and goes over all the material. But usually what it is Sam is up there doing the problems and understanding everything. And then Alex and Clover kind of just sit there and groan because they are not retaining any
I
information.
worry
but they
about
passed
their
test.
education.
Gino, you don't have to
They
worry.
got to college. No, and then when they
They'll
go
be
to college.
dead before it'll matter.
That's... Mm-hmm.
So when they go to college, at first they are living the typical college dorm lifestyle. And the whole plot of the episode is that they wanted to be roommates together. They wanted to have a triple dorm room, but there ends up being some kind of shortage of dorms. So what ends up happening is Clover and Alex get put in a room, and then Sam has some other girl as a roommate. But the girl turns out to be evil.
Classic.
I'm not
Of
going to get
course.
into it. But at the end, the girls are still kind of upset because all of their dreams of rooming together as college students has still not been resolved. And Jerry says, oh, don't worry. I rented out the entire penthouse part of the dorms, and that's where you're going to live. So they get this huge penthouse suite
Why is there
as
a
their
penthouse?
college dorm.
No!
So many questions.
This is giving me flashback to my college days when I was crammed in the standard 3-person, very small dorm, and then my friend lived with only one person in a giant corner room, and they just never received their third roommate. And they have twice the space for activities. Life is so unfair. And then they bunked their bed so they had even more space for activities. And they had their own bathroom.
Wow. Wait, that's really sweet.
I had to share mine with 5 other college boys, 5 other freshman boys. What were their majors? The Spies.
Oh, Let me see if I can find it.
Spying.
Spying. Which one of them eventually goes to work for like a multinational conglomerate of weapons manufacturers?
You know
Okay.
what's weird? I feel like the pipeline of WOOHP to the CIA wouldn't provide a lot of dissonance in the in the brains of the operatives. I feel like they'd make that transition pretty easily.
I don't think they actually have majors.
They're just there.
All that happens in this episode is they go and they start signing up for classes, and Clover and Alex have very different ideas of what they want class to be. Clover signs up for a surfing class, but ends up getting annoyed that they're teaching in more of a classroom style. Like, instead of you go and you get on a surfboard and you just learn how to surf, the surfing instructor sits them down in front of a whiteboard and says, okay, so today we're going to learn about all the different tricks. Like, here's the basics of surfing. And Clover gets really bored. And then Alex takes a crochet class.
What college is this?
Well, I've heard the phrase, like, you can major in, like, basket weaving or something.
Oh, no, it's a basket weaving class.
So
Oh.
that's literally a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Meanwhile, Sam goes and takes quantum physics.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Welcome to Quantum Physics 101.
For freshmen.
For freshmen.
If you go on Totally Spies wiki, there's a page that just lists out all of the various classes that they take throughout the seasons. Okay, so you have like history, theater 101, journalism, advanced textiles, intro to basket weaving.
Advanced basket weaving.
This is what the French think American schooling
Yeah,
is like.
yeah, yeah.
And they're not too far
Oh,
off.
there's sororities too. Because there's an episode called Evil Sorority. And so that's when you get into all of the sororities on campus. There's clubs. There's a polar bear club. There's a library study picnic club.
Whoa.
Mhm,
There's-
okay.
I like that.
Students for studying.
Is there a students against studying?
Yeah.
The clubs, I believe, because you can club anything. And clubs
Yeah.
get weird.
Yeah.
I love how there's also a locations section. And it's just like beach, boutique mall, campus water fountain, holding cell. Well, it's been a wild adventure.
Thanks for taking us on this totally spyful adventure, Victoria.
Yeah.
It was loud and fast
Yeah.
and very campy.
Yeah.
Very campy.
And this is the moment where the floor opens up and we get sucked into WOOHP headquarters.
And Jerry says something like, sorry to cast you all in here
Yeah,
without
yeah.
notice.
Well, until next time, live your best Totally Spies life.
Until next time, I'm always listening, girls. Every thought, every word. No private moments from me. Jerry!
Oh, Jerry.
Thank you for listening to Nostalgia Club. If you enjoyed the episode, follow us on Twitter at _Nostalgia Club and on Instagram at Nostalgia Club Podcast. Leave a comment, give us a rating, and subscribe. You can also send us an email with your suggestions for what we should review next at nostalgiaclubpodcast@gmail.com.
They also have that same locker, by the way, in a Barbie movie.
Huh.
Because every girl's dream is to have their wardrobe in their locker.
Which Barbie movie?
It's in a Barbie movie called Princess Charm School.
Okay.
Basically, it's a school where princesses go to learn how to be a princess. But there's also some magic involved. So they go.
This is how you oppress the peasants.
It is your birthright.
Each girl gets a fairy assistant, basically. And so in the movie, the main character goes to the school and the fairy is showing her around. And then she says, and here's your locker. You can change your outfit. And then it comes out and there's like a curtain and she goes inside and magically like changes outfits.
Apparently, Princess Charm School was 2011. So once again, totally spies.
Totally spies. Breaking molds. Setting norms.
Yeah.